Peace, world. We back at it. The growth spot. My name is Kylan. I got my brothers with me. Crondo, Brother True. We are a piece of the collective, which we call the growth spot. And we back at y'all again after a brief hiatus. This is episode number 31. We have a gracious guest with us here today to talk about one of my favorite topics and favorite activities to partake in. So I'm really excited to kind of take a deep dive into this conversation. But before we do that, we're going to keep our tradition going. So, Brother Crondo, who spit those bars? What you got, bro?
All right, I got one, man. Y'all may know it.
You know what?
Can y'all hear
My
me?
bad. I should explain this for our guests. I feel that.
Okay.
So this is our icebreaker that we do with every episode. I don't know if you've seen any of our previous episodes. So what we do, we all hip hop heads for the most part. So our icebreaker is one of us will lay out some bars, and it's kind of like a little game that we do to try to guess who the artist is and what song. And usually it's in the name of, some sort of revolutionary bars, land ownership, entrepreneurship, things of that matter. Just so that you kind of know what's happening here. And perhaps we'll let you take a stab at it first, see if you can guess who the artist or the song is.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we should let the guests take a stab at it before we start throwing our names and shit. That do make sense. But yeah, let me go ahead and kick it off. So, knuckle game, it's like Ruben Hurricane. Dance to the music for the brain. Y'all dudes will never see me down. Reading everything, books, body language, Du Bois, Borden, and Chavis, Asada, John Hope Franklin, Angela Davis.
Ooh.
Let me say it one more time.
Yeah.
All right. Knuckle game. It's like Ruben Hurricane. Dance to the music for the brain. Y'all dudes will never see me down. I'm reading everything, books and body language, Du Bois, Baldwin, and Chavis, Asada, John Hope Franklin, Angela Davis.
My safest guess would be Nas.
You close.
Got to feel him be upset to get the answer.
It's an East Coast artist.
Oh my goodness! I knew it was East Coast.
Kind of East Coast artists, old school East Coast artists, but not too old school.
Ghostface?
Definitely not.
Hint. Oh, you already gave.
Hint is Nas is on the song, but these bars ain't Nas.
Man, okay.
I gotta say, AZ.
I knew it had to be a Nas song, but I can't think of who that's with though.
Is it AZ?
No, it's not AZ. It's a Large Professor featuring Nas.
I wouldn't got that, man.
Yeah, State Chisel is the song. So Large Professor was a producer, one of the main producers on L.E.G.A.C.Y, right? True.
Facts.
Right.
Okay.
Hey yo, I got a question. Can we do two today because it is the anniversary of the Million Man March, and I got one that's kind of aligned with that.
Run it.
Go ahead.
All right. Yo, sis, let's see if you can get this one. It's kind of popular. In 1995, you'll twist to this as you raise your fist to the music. United we stand, yes, divided we fall. Together we can stand tall. Brothers that try to work it out, they get mad, revolt, revise, realize that's super bad. Small chance a smart brother's gonna be a victim of his own circumstance. Sabotage, shell shot, rocked, and ruled. Day in the life of a fool. Like I said before, to live it low. Life, take your time to go slow. Look here, not a thing to fear. Brother to brother, not another as sincere. Teach a man how to be a father. To never tell a woman he can't bother. You can't say you don't know what I'm talking about. Because one day on the strength, brother's gonna work it out.
Public Enemy?
Yeah, I knew somebody had to get it, man.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure.
I didn't have that one.
The
Hey, I got really close with the first one, so.
You familiar with that one though, right, sis? You've heard that before?
I've heard it before. I just don't know the artist by name. Like, that's the only thing. I was like, I've heard of it, but I was like, I can't think of the artist's name.
Right. So y'all want me to go ahead and just introduce her, and then we'll get into it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So today, episode 31, we got Ma'at. She's a self-defense advocate as well as a local Second Amendment activist here in AZ. She's also a part of a Black Second Amendment organization called the Fred Hampton Gun Club, and she's been an active member for 3 years. She's also a certified firearm instructor. Her vision is to bring awareness to how important it is to protect yourself and your families. And she wants to normalize us being proactive in protecting the Black nation, and wants our people to have more resources, knowledge, and teach on how to provide that to our people. So welcome to the show, sis.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here. This is my life's work. So, I got invited by Brother Truth when I went on Sunday to see if I could host one of my classes, and he invited me here. And I was like, oh my goodness, I get to talk about my favorite topic in the world. So, I going to introduce myself a little bit more. I am in Arizona permanently. I have trained a couple people here. I've also spoke at a couple places with people about firearms training, just our people and other people that are excited about learning. They don't see a lot of us out there. And when I mean us, I mean the Black nation. We need more representation when it comes to the 2A community, to defending yourselves, whether you're by yourself, you have a large family, you have your own land, you have all these things, but you have to be able to protect yourself and to protect your loved ones around you. I got a chance to train this lovely lady. I won't mention her name. And she was a first time gun owner. She didn't know exactly what she needed, what she wanted. And she came to me and she was like, I feel so comfortable with you because you look like me. And I get that a lot. So I just became the example. I became the person that you can kind of look to and call to. So I just want to be more resourceful for the community out here in Arizona. I go to the run clubs, I go to the events and ask those questions that you don't talk about with your family often, or those topics that you and your friend have not discussed, but you guys travel a lot. Like me, I'm on the road most of the time, either going to the East Coast, going back home where I'm from originally is Oklahoma. So going back and forth on the road, I see how dangerous it is for Black women, Black men, people that are just, traveling by themselves. Even locally, the fastest way to figure out if you are wanting to own a gun is to really go to the range. Get someone that is going to train you, that is going to take that time to help you get comfortable with defending yourself. I also promote other ways of defending yourself, such as martial arts, karate, things like that, carrying alternate weapons such as pepper spray, keychains, things like that, alarms. And I even encourage people, if you have family members such as your wife, your aunts, your uncles, family members, please do use your locators. Please tell people where you're going, because even me here being in Arizona, it was a woman that was found missing on the side of the road. Okay. And nobody really said much about it. And I was so upset because it's women like me that are coming up missing. So, excuse me, I'm also a domestic violence advocate too. So, I really do push safety because I learned it from my father, from my instructors, from my trainers, through everything is please do protect yourself. It's the number one thing on the list. You can get all the materials in the world, you can have a beautiful family, but if you're not protecting it, people are not, they're savage. And I say that, but it's very true. We see it happen every day, but I'm going to yield the floor.
That's facts. So, how do you feel about like the importance of gun ownership? You know, especially for women. Also, second question to that is like, have you ever had to like utilize that shit like in person? Like, you ever had to whip out on somebody? You ever had to let them? You know what I mean? Like, has that ever occurred, or you ever had to put a full demonstration on, you know, live?
So I had went through a personal experience a couple years back, and that's what turned me to this side of self defense because I didn't really know much about protecting myself. I was in a domestic violence situation where I didn't have a weapon. I didn't know what it was. The best thing I could do was grab something that was close to me. So I teach women all the time, even if it's just, traveling by yourself with your children, the importance of you having a firearm, the importance of you understanding how to use it and when to use it and why we carry it is most important because I've been followed in cars before. I've been chased down, and a lot of people don't think that it happens, but it does. There's women and children getting snatched up in the local malls right in front of people. So it's very important. And like I said, if a woman comes up to me and talks to me or asks me a question, those are the women that I want to have those conversations with. Like, hey sis, how are you doing? We can talk about everything else. Let me go ahead and just bring up the topic, you know, and just say, hey, if you need any help, sis, I'm here. I can, walk you through it. Do you need a little bit more knowledge? Do you want to go see, however far we have to take it? But somebody has to do it. And just recently, I had heard of someone through my instructor or the instructor that instructed me. One of his female students, she actually was in a domestic violence situation, and tragically, she's not here anymore. And she didn't have her firearm on her. So I also stress if you have one, to keep it on you, just to keep it on you and learn how to carry it on body because you may not have your purse. They may snatch your purse from you, anything like that. Things happen. So just keep on body. And my personal experiences, yes, I've had to take it there several times with people simply because it was unsafe situations and negligence. So I am fully trained in stopping that without a weapon too, as well. And that, like I said, that's why I teach people that too, because you can get easily disarmed or you can disarm someone. So, feel the floor.
Wow,
Okay. I got, man, so much I want to get into. I'm so happy that you're on our platform today, particularly that you're a Black female in this space, shining a light on these particular issues, especially here in Arizona, considering the fact that there are a lot of abductions of women, children. Um, and I think perhaps there are a lot of people that think that it wouldn't happen to them, right? There's
Mhm.
a sort of a normalcy bias that, it's not going to happen to me. I do this every day. I go to this particular place every day at this time, that sort of thing. And I think people perhaps are not in touch with the fact of how quickly something can escalate to a very dangerous situation. I've unfortunately had a couple of instances where, firearms were discharged, and I'm like there, like right there, right in front of me. Um, I myself, I carry every day, 24/7 for the most part, unless I'm on school grounds or a prohibited space. Aside from that, it's always with me. And I had to grow into that comfort space. So I think the apprehension for a lot of people, especially our women, may be the fact that there's an intimidation factor there. A lot of people are kind of influenced by the optics of firearms through media, right? The not only the music, but the movies that we watched, shoot 'em up, bang bang, that type of thing,
Mhm.
and they don't necessarily know until they know, right? So I think exposure is key. And I think you and the work that you're doing is really going to serve as a catalyst, if not already, for those individuals that need a particular guide that they can relate to. That is key in every space. So can you talk about the type of reception, or if there are challenges getting individuals like yourself into the space? How do you kind of navigate through any apprehensiveness or any hesitancy that may exist, in particular with our Black women in the community?
So the biggest thing that I've seen while working with, Black women, our women in general, is like you said, the intimidation factor. Like, one big thing is they're like, I don't want to shoot myself or nobody else. And, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and most of the time, it's just the lack of knowledge. It's not that they're not wanting to learn how to protect themselves, is they don't know where to start. And having someone to walk them through it and not being so rough with them, just kind of like, take your time, don't rush, that welcomes them into that space of knowledge. So it's kind of been like consistency of that happening when I do train women. I do have to go back a little bit further, and not saying it's any like learning problem. It's just the fact that I know that women want to understand it most of the time fully before we jump into something that big, as far as carrying a firearm. But I've seen a lot of women that kind of just let their guards down after I talked to them, like, hey, I look like you. I was scared like you. I didn't shoot the best like you. I was in your shoes, but it's okay. If we keep working and we keep getting you familiar with what you're carrying or what you are shooting, you will feel safer because you are practicing safety, and what to do and what you can and cannot do with it. And, you have a safety procedure, if you are out by yourself. So setting Black women, me too, setting us up for success is walking into those spaces where it feels uncomfortable, but it's necessary for our livelihood, for our protection. Just having, our men back us up in the community and be like, we love to see you grow. We love to see these things happening because it's bigger than just us. You know what I mean? It's all of us. So it may be a situation where, the husband may not have a firearm. He may not be able to get to it, or he's in the back room somewhere, and the woman is the first responder at that point. So just building the unit on the woman's side, we just have to I have to continue, and women like me have to continue to walk in this community and do what we need to do and show them it's okay to walk in these areas. It's okay to walk in these spaces. Do you see me here? Come with me. I invite women out to the mountains all the time. Like, hey, we're going to go shoot. Be up at 5:00. We could go have a nice dinner afterwards, inviting them into those spaces. So, and that's what I see. It's just the lack of knowledge, and that's what I'm going to provide to anybody else that works with me. I know that they're on the same path too, as well, is to provide that knowledge to the Black nation in whatever way we can. So.
Yeah, I want to chime in real quick. We're in an age where, like, a lot of our sisters, there's this whole idea of, I don't need a man, and a lot of sisters talk about the pool they had to choose from, and like us, a lot of sisters are on some real shit trying to get free, and they're not waiting on some mythical figure to come out the sky and save them. They're purchasing land. We've had a few sisters who got their own land on the show, and I guess, like, what would you say to them as far as like protection and what they need to have once they do that?
So the biggest thing is a safety plan. You need a safety plan. You are a landowner. Know your land front to back, and set up safety measures in order to protect yourself. Lookouts, things that you can do to be able to protect your perimeter. You're by yourself, whether you have kids or you don't have kids. Create those safety plans. It'll involve firearms, different escape measures, things like that to protect you and to protect your family. So that would be my advice as far as a landowner wise. I know for sure that there are some women out there that may not feel comfortable with carrying a firearm, but once you're out there and you're away from other people and you own your land, it's necessary. It's important. It's important.
Mandatory, right?
Yes.
Indeed.
Indeed. Can you speak on perhaps your level of optimism in this space as far as the participants or just people that kind of convene in the spaces that you convene to practice in this field? Are you seeing more, Black Americans showing up in these spaces, getting busy with you, inquiring, reaching out for that knowledge, that foundational knowledge or obviously there's a lot more work to do. We could definitely polish up and there's room for improvement there, but are you seeing progression in the space?
I would say yes. There are a lot of people that are now interested that don't talk about firearms, that don't talk about safety. I've just trained an older lady, and she was like never been introduced to firearms. She has her own house. She also helps raise her grandkids. A lot of different people from different backgrounds are coming out in those spaces, whether I'm doing an event for my gun club or if I'm going to a yoga class or going to go run. People are asking about it when I bring up the topic or they see the topic or I hear someone talk about it. So there's people calling me or asking me questions. I just bought this. I'm not sure what to do with it. And I'm like, hey, DM me, let me know what's going on so I can, speak with you. If I can meet you up at the range, that'll be nice. A lot of people are still they are gun owners, but some of them have not shot their gun at all. And they are looking for people to ask those questions, to bounce those things off of. Hey, is it safe? Am I doing it right? Things like that. So in the spaces that I walk in, I'm getting a lot of feedback.
That's great. And you spoke to something that's very important, community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coming into a space where you feel comfortable, that eliminates a lot of those initial barriers and those reservations that keep people from really getting the best out of the experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've had firearms training and I'm still an archery instructor. Um, and coming into those unfamiliar spaces, obviously, you're like one of the few, or perhaps the only in the space. And though we're adults and we know how to, most of us know how to navigate those spaces, it still feels like more resistance to kind of achieve the actual experience that you're perhaps seeking. So it takes a little more work, right? People have to warm up to you, you have to warm up to them. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we have emerging gun clubs, instructors like yourself all over the country, but particularly here in Arizona, that's a challenge with a lot of activities outside of the norm for our demographic, right? Finding people like us that like to do these particular things that aren't just the typical things that a lot of us do. So that is tremendous and that is very inspiring. And hopefully our viewers can, that can propel them to take that next step to reach out to yourself or the Fred Hampton Gun Club, get that information and just show up. That's the first step. Show up and ask those questions. So I think and you mentioned how like sometimes people purchase things and they don't necessarily know where to start with this thing that
Mm-hmm.
someone sold them. And I always encourage people to just kind of go experience multiple different types of equipment and just figure out what is comfortable for you because there is no universal approach as far as like, hey, everybody needs this. Now, there are very opinionated people that say, hey, this particular brand, this particular caliber, that type of thing, you will hear that. But for the most part, whatever works for you works for you. So I think that is key. That is key. So I brought up the Fred Hampton Gun Club. Can you kind of shed some light on that how you got involved in it, and then if there is a local chapter in Arizona, how can people get involved with that?
Okay. So I have been a member of the Fred Hampton Gun Club for 3 years now. I'm actually a national on their board, national MOJ. And I have been a revolutionary ever since the day that I signed up. And it started back in my hometown, Oklahoma City. Uh, I drove 2 hours to Tulsa, which is where Black Wall Street is. And I was just down there to watch one of my friends take photographs of, the celebration and everything. And they had a 2A mass movement down there in Tulsa. If you guys look it up on YouTube, you'll probably see the mass movement. It was in the papers. And I just signed up from there. I was like, you know what? I'm inspired because I want to invest. And my heart was there. I knew people in my community didn't have knowledge. I knew that we didn't know our history. And I just wanted to change that for not only my bloodline, but for others. So that I didn't know Black Wall Street was right down the street, 2 hours away from me, because they didn't teach me that in school. So I was proactive to learn that knowledge. So if you want to know more information about the Fred Hampton Gun Club, you can DM me on any of my social medias. Facebook is Ma'at Yeboah, and just put Fred Hampton Gun Club in the DM, more info, and then I can send you the link. We also have the Fred Hampton Gun Club.com, which is up and running. They'll have like some of our pictures, some of the things that we do in the community. We're also on all social medias. On Instagram, we have our official page on Instagram and also on Facebook. And we do have a local chapter here in Arizona. I am also over that as well. And I do have other comrades that are ranking officers and also regular members as well, a part of Fred Hampton Gun Club here. I do have a chapter in Oklahoma too, and we're also in several other states too.
Hey, shout out. That's major. That is major. My family's from Oklahoma as well, and I
wow.
was to experience Black Wall Street in the flesh. I went to visit the space. I have quite a few members of my family that are centered in the area, and that is just, I don't know. I don't even know how to put that into words. When you are in the space and you reflect on that particular history, and I always imagine, if man, if there were a movie or something that chronicled like a time travel back until that period, and we can take the resources that we have today, particularly firearms for that particular event, what would that look like? You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that they had a thriving community, but unfortunately they were unable to preserve it, by means of firearms, survival, and most importantly prosperity in general, regardless of how strong what you acquire, how much growth you have, it's potentially compromised if you're not able to protect it, and without that element of protection or a means to defend yourself, you're just essentially food for someone else, and that's an unfortunate truth. So hopefully those lessons throughout our history, and there's many more experiences that we can point to and reflect, but hopefully that will inspire people to take advantage of the Second Amendment right to bear arms. I think that is very important. It's in my mind, it's in alignment with our universal law and the principle of self-preservation. First law of nature, you got to preserve your biology. So yeah, hopefully people can draw from that, and I definitely encourage everyone to take a visit into that space. So shout out to the Fred Hampton Gun Club. That's powerful. That's powerful, and shout out to you for taking the initiative.
Yo, when you were mentioning how sometimes the man might be out of range, and so the woman will be the first line of defense. It makes me think about a line from Dead Prez where Stickman be like, "Teach your wifey how to use a ratchet instead of spice." the most important aspects of the village is the youth and the elderly, and
Mm-hmm.
man is not there. The woman got to hold it down with the firearms. What I wanted to know was, and Kylan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I was very proud to see when I joined NAGA, when I would go to classes or whatnot. It my mind the way it used to be, but if I recall correctly, there was more women than there was men, and I was really proud to see that. I want to know in your situation, like when you have workshops and whatnot, what is the ratio of women to men? Are a lot of women showing up? Because there's this stereotype that, and we kind of touched on it a little bit. There's a stereotype that a lot of women, they're intimidated, they don't want to learn, they're scared, they're not, engaging. Like, what's your experience?
So my experience is that I don't really have a lot of men that I train more often. It's kind of opposite. The women more attract to me because they're like, oh, well, she's kind of around my age, or she looks like me, or she likes the things that I like. And, we kind of get familiar like that, and they get to asking questions, or if I'm talking about it, or if they're in the same room. It's just they feel a little bit more comfortable with talking to me. I don't get too much resistance, but I look at like a mixed ratio class, and sometimes it is more women nowadays that are showing up to classes and are asking to get training. Especially when I first relocated down here, I trained a couple of women already when I got down here. Those were my first mountain trains out here. So
Nice. I don't know if you bring it up, but I would imagine, I would hope that, a lot of the people coming into the space, they know about the 100,000 women that are missing. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that something y'all touch on, speak about?
we do speak on it a little bit. We actually do search and rescues and domestic violence rescues too, as well, along with other organizations. With the Fred Hampton Gun Club, we do a lot of those proactive, like community searches, things like that, to impact our direct communities. So that's what we do in order to combat the issues that are going out there, to solve the actual problems, because it's not just us here in, Arizona. It's a lot in Oklahoma and other places and things like that. So that's what we kind of shine a light on, especially me, talking to some of these women that have been hurt, that have been abducted, or have children that are missing. So I just kind of deal with it in right here in my face. So wherever I go. So
Y'all some real life superheroes.
Yeah,
yes.
They got nothing on y'all.
that's amazing. If you don't mind, can you perhaps expound on that a little bit, as far as like intervening in domestic violence situations? And I know there's no like typical way that these particular cases that you get involved in present themselves,
Mhm.
but how would that kind of land on your desk to motivate you all to mobilize on those issues? Does that kind of come from someone like a second party, third party person reaching out and saying, hey, just kind of like shedding light on a particular family member or friend, and then you all reach out to that person? Or like, I'm just curious to know, if there is someone that is listening that is in one of those situations where they don't necessarily feel so secure, and maybe they are exposed to someone that poses a potential threat. What is the best way for them to reach out for that type of assistance?
We take cases pretty much all over. I've gotten cases straight in my inbox of, hey, I heard that you are a domestic violence advocate. I've heard your name in the community. People have recommended me to talk to you. And from there, it's really just asking questions and really like, are you safe? First off, how can we work around these things? So most of the time, we're getting it from either DMs, people reaching out to us or hearing about us. That's why exposure is so important, because I know women that don't know anyone that they can go confide in or talk to, or men. And that's the society that we live in. It's really hard on our men to say, I'm getting hit on. certain things are happening. She's doing things. I don't want to get too graphic, but things are happening to women and men, and they don't have anyone to talk to. And sometimes it is having those conversations and being available for, search and rescues or rescues in general. Like, hey, do you need to go? Things like that. So we go into details the more knowledge that we have of the actual situation that's going on. I can't disclose too much information, but that's kind of, if you're needing any help or you are in a situation like that, reach out to me and via social media. Find a way. If you see a Fred Hampton Gun Club page on Facebook, and there's plenty pages on Instagram, reach out, DM, do something, call us. Don't just sit in that. We are here to help.
That's really good to know, because just this last month I had a situation where this sister was in a abusive relationship, and we know what happens often when we call the police.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's really good to know. You're gonna have to repeat your contact info again before this episode is over.
Okay.
I just have one last question. I know you are ultimately on a landowner journey. I want to know where you are with that, and also, like, can you speak to the importance of, like, independence and breaking free from, like, the matrix and whatnot?
So yes, I am on my land ownership journey. I feel like being independent for us in this day and time is, I would say, a source of power. For others, we see one of us do it, and sustain our living and sustain our own, and not depend on, oh, we have a shortage of food, or you can't get this, or you're restricted from this. When we, build our own houses and we create our own food and we, take care of our own land, we don't have to ask you for nothing. So the independence of building a Black nation depends on us walking out being independent, depends on us creating that avenue for us to build our Black nation. So ownership is very important to what I do, to what, anyone's doing to build the Black nation and to separate from the matrix. It has not offered us anything, of substance that we can sustain. But what we build with each other will be successful, and we just help others to do so, and then we, build from there.
Right. And Colin, real quick, I forget the name of the group that we had, the guests joined. Like, sister, if you have any questions, we got like a lot of sisters who own land on their own, and if you have any questions when you're in that channel in our Discord, you can pose it to them, and they'll be quick to assist with anything that you have on that journey.
Okay.
Advisory committee, right? So, is that what it's called? What's the name of it? It's the advisory committee. Is that what it's called? The TGS?
Yeah. We'll definitely ensure that you get an invite into the network that we're sort of building. And the intent behind that is, especially considering all the guests that we've had on the platform, various backgrounds and areas of expertise, just leveraging and knowledge sharing, right? I feel like we have a lot of pieces to this puzzle that needs to be addressed as far as rectifying the issues that you spoke to, and as far as liberating ourselves, right? Defining our own reparations in a sense, and just taking the initiative to take and build and provide for ourselves, doing for self. That's a simple way of putting it. So I feel like it would be in vain to have these conversations, build these relationships, and not mobilize on what we know we need to do. So that is the intent. So I am definitely looking forward to your engagement there. I'll definitely be reaching out to you. I know a few people in my circle that I've been nudging, trying to get them into this space. And I do understand, even though I'm not heavily invested into the space, but at one point I was, and it's something that I personally, usually solo, I practice, on my own. But I understand that sometimes it takes another person, right? Someone, especially with family members or even youth, sometimes another voice, another presence resonates a little different. And I think that is key to acknowledge. So, you know, that's a lesson that I had to learn from myself, that, you know, because it can be frustrating, right? When you want someone to kind of identify with something that you know is important,
Mhm.
but I may not be that vessel, right? But I can serve as a link, right, to connect a particular dot to, you know, meet that goal. So, man, I'm just really happy that you exist in this space.
Oh,
I was
shit.
not familiar with your work, but I was enthused to have you on, and you are very knowledgeable and qualified. As far as the events that you facilitate, you know, on your own, and then also with the gun club, what, for those that are interested, or, you know, you may serve as their entry point. Obviously, you provide safety training, firearms 101. Are there opportunities for, you know, others to become certified and perhaps enhance this education effort? Does the gun club partake in particular outings, or I don't know, charitable efforts? What type of activities, aside from, you know, safety training, firearms, proficiency, what else do you, or, you know, you via the gun club, what else is available? What can they anticipate when they reach out and get involved in this particular movement?
So we're dominantly security based. So right now we provide security for Dr. Umar, actually here in Phoenix at the Grassroots bookstore. We did that one, as well as we do different security events or protect different events or people in different states. So anywhere from Tennessee to Virginia to Washington, D.C., different places like that. So we do a lot of outreach to as well, feeding the community, doing community patrols, walks, and things like that. Even one of our chapters has done a all boys meditation where some of our gentlemen were outside watching them, protecting them when they were peacefully with their eyes closed, having a moment. So we do a lot of different things wherever we're called. You know, we go and we answer that call. So we do food drives, clothing drives, domestic violence symposiums. We're a little bit of everywhere to assist where we need to in whichever community that we serve.
Love that. That's awesome.
Okay.
I'm extremely impressed, and yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. True, you got anything else?
I don't at this time. Chrono, if you still with us, you got anything else? If not, I'll just go ahead and close it out with the mission statement. You're muted, brother.
I said no, I don't. I was listening. Good bill, good topic. I was eating dinner, but yeah, we'd like to bring you back. We eventually want to do like a recurring, like a different podcast with like previous guests, and then we all get on there and build, because like this platform can hold up to like, I think it's like 12 people, so we all can get on there and build and just chop game and learn from each other. So we want to bring you that for that as well, if you're available.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
that.
And please, like, if there's anything we can do on behalf of outreach and letting people know about the services that you all provide, not that you guys like need the help, but I just want to amplify this message. And you know, that's another thing about Arizona. There's a lot of stuff going on, contrary to what people say about
Mhm.
Black folks in Arizona. There's a lot going on,
All
but
the time.
See it every
yeah, there's so much going on, but for whatever reason, there is a disconnect at times as far as communications. So hopefully we can combat that a little bit by, you know, just sharing the information. If there's particular events or opportunities for people to get like some sort of wholesome or proper introduction to what you all are doing. Sounds like you all stay really active. So it looks like ample opportunities for others to get involved. So please share all your contact information for us once more.
Okay, so my social medias are Facebook. It's going to be under Ma'at, M-A-A-T. Yeboah is the last name. It's Yeboah. And also on Instagram, it's also Ma'at Yeboah, but it's also my username is Lady in Black 811. And the fastest way to get to me is Instagram. I will respond back to you. I believe Brother Truth has my number just in case I need to speak with you, gentlemen.
I need
But
business
every
cards, though, Maya. I need business cards. I need them.
okay, yes, I'll bring you some business cards this weekend. Yes, but you can research, or you can see me on social media on Instagram. I'll get back to you. Okay.
Yeah, they did a good job doing security for the RBG weekend this summer. We did, y'all know, we did that. They were a part of that. Helped us out with security. You know, we'll be running that back again next year.
Wonderful.
For sure. Yeah, that was a good job.
It was a beautiful event. It was my first experience. They was like, "Oh, you want to go to the RBG Explosion? Where is that at?" So I was like, "Oh well, I'm doing security. Never mind."
Yeah. Well, all right. With that being said, once again, thank you for coming on the show, sis. And at the Growth Spot, we are unified in action to build, protect, and expand a fruitful legacy of love, equity, growth, ancestry, cooperation, and yield. Peace.
Shame.